Look at this thing. It's chunky. It's got that signature 90s Sega design, all sharp angles, bold lettering, and a sleek, almost industrial plastic shell. And most importantly, it has color. Glorious, backlit, vibrant color. This is the Sega Game Gear. In 1991, when it hit Western shelves, this wasn't just another gadget. This was a technological marvel, an almost unbelievable piece of portable engineering. It was a system that promised to do what the market leader, the Game Boy, simply couldn't: deliver a true, vibrant, console-quality gaming experience right in the palm of your hand. It promised the future. It was brighter, significantly more powerful, and just plain cooler than its ancient pea-soup green monochrome rival. Sega believed they had the perfect answer to Nintendo's dominance. Yet today, the Game Gear is often remembered less for its truly amazing screen and more for being a spectacular, defining failure of the early 90s. It sold over 10 million units globally, a success by most financial standards. But in the context of the console wars, it utterly failed to unseat the king, Nintendo's Game Boy, which went on to sell over 118 million units. The gap was astronomical. So, what happened? How did Sega, armed with superior technology and a fearless attitude, build what was arguably the perfect handheld device on paper, only to watch its potential and its reputation drain away, 6 AA batteries at a time? This is the story of Project Mercury, the hardware that was too brilliant for its own time. A machine built without regard for the practicalities of portability, and the handheld console that taught the entire world the most painful, expensive lesson in portable gaming. Specs don't matter if the user can't play past the first boss without needing a power outlet or a battery refill. Let's dive into the history of the Sega Game Gear, a handheld defined by its own ambition. The story of the Game Gear begins with pure, unadulterated desperation. By the late 1980s, Sega was battling fiercely in the 16-bit console war with the Genesis. They were finally competitive against Nintendo on the home front. But in the handheld market, Nintendo had established a terrifying, near-impenetrable monopoly with the launch of the Game Boy in 1989. Nintendo's strategy was simple, pragmatic, and brilliant. Build a system that was cheap, durable, and, above all, offered minimal battery drain, achieved thanks to a reflective, non-backlit screen that required external light to function. Sega's core philosophy, however, was blast processing. Raw power, and an almost pathological desire to one-up Nintendo technologically. They couldn't stand the idea of being the runner-up in any technological category. Sega's development codename for their rival handheld was Project Mercury, named after the swift Roman god. The goal was clearly defined: take the proven, cost-effective hardware of the Sega Master System, enhance it slightly, and pack it all into a genuinely portable form factor. The entire project was centered around one crucial, non-negotiable component: a full-color, high-contrast, backlit LCD screen. This screen was the Trojan horse of their war against Nintendo's dominance. Let's look closer at the specifications that made this machine a powerhouse. The Game Gear used the same reliable 8-bit Zilog Z80 processor as the Master System, clocked at 3.58 MHz. This allowed for quick and easy ports of existing Master System titles, giving Sega a ready-made launch library. But the real star was the Video Display Processor, or VDP. The display boasted a 160 by 144 pixel resolution, nearly identical in dimension to the Game Boy, but with a gigantic difference in visual capability. The Game Gear could display an astounding 32 colors simultaneously out of a massive palette of 4,096. The Game Boy, meanwhile, was limited to 4 shades of monochromatic pea soup green, relying on dithering to create the illusion of depth. The difference wasn't just better, it was transformative, offering graphics that looked closer to a Sega Genesis than a Game Boy. In the global market, only 2 other systems offered color: the massive Atari Lynx and the beautiful but prohibitively expensive NEC Turbo Express, which cost over $300 at launch and played TurboGrafx 16 cards. Sega found the perfect middle ground: technical superiority to Nintendo at a genuinely competitive price point, managing to squeeze this advanced technology into a relatively compact, albeit still bulky, design. The system debuted in Japan on October 6, 1990, priced at Yen 19,800, about $140 at the time. It sold well initially, entirely fueled by the excitement of color. The true test came in April 1991, when it arrived in North America and Europe, bundled with columns, a gem-matching puzzler specifically designed to show off that gorgeous, vibrant color display. The price tag, a reasonable but notably steeper than the Game Boy, $149.99. Sega had successfully manufactured a portable console that truly looked and sounded like a miniaturized home system, complete with stereo sound via the headphone jack. But in doing so, they engineered a single, fatal design choice that would ultimately prove catastrophic. When the Game Gear landed, the competition was already settled in the trenches. Nintendo had the user base, the perfected budget price point, and, crucially, the undisputed king of handheld games, Tetris. But Sega had the horsepower, and they knew exactly how to market it. Their marketing strategy was simple and aggressive: focus entirely on the color. They ran famous advertisements showing kids squinting desperately at the dull Game Boy screen, often struggling to find an angle with good light, before switching to the bright, vivid, uncompromised screen of the Game Gear. The clear message to the consumer was, stop compromising your gaming experience, and the screens were night and day. The Game Gear was built perfectly for the early 90s lifestyle. It was fantastic in a dimly lit bedroom, great on a rainy day, and amazing for showing off to your friends. But the moment you tried to use it as an actual portable device, the problems began. The backlit screen, the single feature that defined the entire existence of the Game Gear, was a glutton for energy. It demanded a hefty power source, 6 AA batteries, and those 6 AAs, they were good for maybe 3 to 5 hours of playtime, on a brand new unit with fresh batteries. For a long weekend trip, a dedicated player would need to budget for a large blister pack of batteries, an operational expense that quickly added up and frustrated parents worldwide. Compare that directly to the Game Boy, which ran on just 4 AAs and could deliver a legendary 30 to 35 hours of uninterrupted play. For the average kid on a road trip, that difference meant either bringing a 5-pound bag of Duracells or just defaulting back to the Game Boy, which could last the entire vacation. This extreme battery drain fundamentally changed the console's perceived portability. The Game Gear wasn't a handheld device in the practical sense. It was a transportable console. Most serious players were forced to rely on the included AC adapter or invest in the bulky external accessories like the power-back battery pack, meaning the device was almost always tethered to a wall socket or a car cigarette lighter. It was a failure of logistics, not technology. But Sega, never one to shy away from spectacle, didn't stop at just games. In a truly audacious and wonderfully bizarre move, they released an accessory that transformed the Game Gear into something no other handheld could claim to be: a miniature, portable color television. The TV tuner slotted into the cartridge port, and with its retractable antenna, allowed you to watch analog broadcast television on the system's high-quality screen. It was cool, futuristic, and completely pointless for its intended purpose, unless you liked watching your game device suck its 6 AAs dry in about 45 minutes just to catch the evening news. Despite the profound limitations in portability, the hardware sold on its sheer, undeniable promise. Sega moved over 10 million units globally, a respectable number that solidifies the Game Gear's status as a serious contender that ultimately failed due to operational cost, even if it was fighting a losing war against Game Boy's practicality. So, the Game Gear had the tech, the look, and the color, but its incredible screen created a crippling 6AA battery flaw that made it a logistical nightmare for gamers and their parents. The verdict from consumers was clear. This was a brilliant but fundamentally impractical portable machine. In Part 2, we'll shift focus from the hardware's crippling power flaw to the heart of the console. Its incredible, yet limited game library, the bizarre accessories they invented to justify its existence, and the final, fatal manufacturing flaw that ended Sega's color dream for good.
Don't forget to please hit that like button and subscribe for more retro tech history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.